Welcome to our weekly Mitzvah Shabbos program. Last week's program was about a Fabringer, a word from the Frierdiker Rebbe, he has to be a Dugma Chaya, and he should be a collector, and to be a bee, not like a spider. So, in other words, that a person's philosophies is not negate of a Fabringer. A Fabringer has to be a Dugma Chaya, and he has to say over what he saw, what he learned, exactly, and not add anything. Tonight's program, since it's before Yom Kippurim, before Yom Adin, I want to share with you a word from the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the end of this program, I found an amazing written up from Rabbi Mindel, and the Rebbe was Magia. All this, it's the Rebbe's really, because the Rebbe wrote on it all. So I will share with you the importance of numbers, and it's important of number 40, which is between Rosh Chodesh Elul and Yom Kippurim. So I'm going to share with you this at the end of this. But now I want to say that the Frierdiker Rebbe said, in the name of Tzemach Tzedek, it says, Yazov Rosho Darkai Ve'ish Oven Machshav Esov. Let the wicked man abandon his path, and the man of sin, he should abandon his thoughts. So the Tzemach Tzedek said, Ish Oven, you can also say with a chaylam, Ish Oin. It can be interpreted with Oin, not Oven. And that can also, it's hinted on the Oin strength. Just as a wicked man, he writes, must abandon his path, without Shuvah, he cannot approach holiness. So too, man of strength, meaning a man who is strong and confident in his own opinions, must abandon his thoughts. He should no longer say, this is what I say, or this is how I hold. For any mention of I, the Tzemach Tzedek said, is the source of evil and instills divisiveness between people's hearts. A person complained to Tzemach Tzedek, wo ich gehe, tritt man am. People step on me. Wherever I go, people step on me. So the Tzemach Tzedek answered, this is from the Frierdiker Rebbe, wer hat die geheißen sich aussprechen, als so viel, als wir so auf dir treten? Sprich sich nicht aus, but man auf dir nicht treten. Who told you to spread out so much that people should step on you? Don't spread yourself out. People are not going to step on you. When a person's ego, this is from the Frierdiker Rebbe, expands to such an extent, it becomes the source of evil, because it shifts his attention away from what God asks of him, focuses on his own needs and desires, and he transgresses God's will, as mentioned last week. A person should always try to be humble, and nit ich, no eigenes Volles. Say what you learn. And as the Frierdiker Rebbe said, Gam hu anoshim, I think he mentioned it in Hayom Yom. Gam hu anoshim bali moichin. Even intellect people must put their minds aside and not follow their own reasoning, for their minds can mislead them to the extent, Rahman al-Islam, a bitter end. This is what the Frierdiker Rebbe writes. So we see from here the importance of a person should always, and I think a lot of problems, because people say they take a story. I remember I mentioned a story to somebody that I was written from the Rebbe, written by Rabbi Midel, a story. And then I told it over to some people. And the person, when he said it over in public, he said it over. And it took me 5 minutes, and it took him 25 minutes. It took him much longer. Why put yourself... He said the story, but it's not. Say the way it is. This is as a continuation of last week. Now, I told you, I want to share with you something that Rabbi Midel wrote, and the Rebbe wrote Hagoes, and probably most of the page is Hagoes. So what I'm going to tell you now is Be'emes as the Rebbe's. The Rebbe writes, this is important. Now we're in the middle of between Rosh Chodesh Elul and Yom Kippur. Now we're getting towards the end of the 40 days that started Rosh Chodesh Elul. So the Rebbe writes that the number 40 is very significant. And he writes like this. Torah begins with creation. Breishis bara Elokim. And the Torah concludes in that short parsha from Breishis till Sheni with Shabbos. The Rebbe created the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day Shabbos, and the 7th day is holy. In this short parsha, the 7th day is mentioned 3 times. 7. Apparently the number 7 by the Rebbe is a very important number. I mean, we know B'chol Hashvin Chavivin. It's very important. Now, here the Rebbe wrote with his handwriting, interesting, that he goes away from this, and then he writes, the number 7 is mentioned in the Torah many times. Has nothing to do with the 40. He just mentioned as a side thing. Because 7 is Shabbos. 7, I guess, V'chol Hashvivi Chavivin. So the Rebbe writes that it's mentioned many times. And the Rebbe writes, where? And I'm going to read, because the Rebbe wrote this. Breishis. Perik Zayin, Pasuk Beis. Perik Zayin, Pasuk Dalet. Perik Chof Aleph, Pasuk Chof Ches. Perik Chof Tes, Pasuk Yud Ches. Perik Mem Aleph, Pasuk Beis. In Shmois, Perik Yud Beis, Pasuk Tes Vov. Perik Yud Gimel, Pasuk Vov. Perik Chof Tes, Pasuk Lamed Ei. Perik Dalet, in Vayikra. Perik Dalet, Pasuk Vov. Perik Chof Gimel, Pasuk Tes Vov. In Bamidbar, Perik Chof Gimel, Pasuk Aleph. I think. Perik Chof Ches, Pasuk Yud Aleph. In Dvorim, Perik Zayin, Pasuk Aleph, and Perik Tes, Pasuk Ches, and more. So anyway, the Rebbe wrote, in other words, the importance of 7. That's a side thing. So we see from here that 7 is 3 times 7, and 7 is holy. It says holy. Now, in general, numbers from 1 to 10 is very special. You can learn out from numbers many things. Now, I have over here, I have no time today for that, but numbers, the Rebbe wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything about numbers. And that's a special, maybe 2 or 3 programs, which I'm not going to do today because there's no time. But the importance of numbers, and the Rebbe goes in the importance of numbers. It's something special. Anyways. Now, but because we are now in the middle of 40 days, so let's talk about the importance of 40. So he writes like this. This time, from Elul to Yom Kippur, is a suitable time of tshuva. And Yom Kippur was the 3rd time that Moshe Rabbeinu spent on Har Sinai 40 days and 40 nights. he came down happy, and the Eibishter forgave him the Eden of the sin of Chet Egel. Finally, Solachti Kitvarecha an Yom Kippur. And this is the third time. In other words, 3 times. One time was from Vov Sivan, Matan Torah. He went up till Shivasa B'Tammuz, 40 days. Then he saw the Chet Egel. He broke the luchos. He went up again, Shivasa B'Tammuz, till Rosh Chodesh Elul, 40 days. And then from Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur was another 40 days. So you have here 40 days, 40. Yeah, you have here. So you have 3 times 40. Now, then the luchos, after when he came down, the third time, the second luchos, the Eibishter is described in the. This was the 10 Commandments, the Aseres Hadibros, instead of the first luchos. This is the 40 days. This is the Rebbe writes over here. Then he says over here, 40 is significant. He writes, it's not for us human beings with limited minds to ask or reason why Hashem has chosen certain numbers and given them particular significance. We know, however, that Hashem created the world with 10 words, 10 memories, he said, which corresponds to the 10 commandments. 10. 10 is also a minyan. 10 people. A minyan means 10 people. You say Kaddish with 10 people. You say Kedusha with 10 people. And you read the Torah with 10 people. So here we have 3, we have 7, and we have 10. And we also know that the Eibishter's name consists of 4 letters. Yud Kei Vav Kei. So since 10 is holy, and 4 is holy, 10 is holy because of Aseres Hadibros, Sorah Mamoris. The Eibishter created the world, we just said in the beginning of Bereshis. And 3 is 3 times he said the word 7. So here we see 4 is holy and 10 is holy. So 4 times 10 is 40. So 40 is associated with holiness and purity. When the world became sinful and the Eibishter wished to clean and purify the world, he sent a Mabul. The Mabul lasted 40 days and 40 nights. So that's for, I guess, this is significance of 40. Matan Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu was 40 days and 40 nights. Meraglim, mission lasted 40 days. The Yidden were in the desert 40 years. And it says 40 for certain sins that people do was given 40 malchus. Shabbos prohibits 40 kinds of labor. A mikvah, in order to a mikvah to be pure, requires 40 saw, a measurement of water. And there's more. And this is a 40. So when Hashem gave us special to purify ourselves through tshuva, the Eibishter gave us tshuva, so he gave us 40 days. That's what the significance of Dafke 40. From Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippurim. And these are the special days of forgiveness. Then he writes here, to be sure, the gates of tshuva are never locked, as our sages say. Any day, any time during the year is suitable for returning to the Eibush to do tshuva. Nevertheless, these 40 days are especially suitable since God specifically set them aside for this purpose. So it's 40 40 is Tahara, as we said before. So that's the tshuva that we do, that's from Yom Kippur, from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Yom Kippur. Then he says over here, the Razal say that the age of 40 is the age of understanding. But the wise understanding person does not wait until he or she is 40 years old. The opportunity to get ever closer to Hashem through His Torah and mitzvahs. He writes, knocks at the door every year during the 40 days from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippurim. That is special. Melech Basode, I guess, whatever it is. So we see here the Rebbe uses over here the Inyan from 40, and that's why 40 is the Inyan of tshuva, and 40 is the bina to understand. So this is the time. As I thought I found this, I thought I would share this Inyan with you. And he writes over here, a person's life is 120 years. 3 times 40. A person's life should be full with purity, full with holiness. So this is this is before Yom Kippurim, and I want to. That's it. That's the letter. So we should all have Aksima v'Aksima Teva, B'toiv Hanire v'Hanigle. We want to see goodness. We want to see Mashiach. We want to see. And that's one of the reasons that Rosh Hashanah, we dip an apple into honey. Why honey? Why not into bitter stuff? You want to make sweet, so make the bitter sweet. Because sweet into sweet. Apple in honey. But everything is good. The Eibishter created the world. Every day it's good. Everything is good. But we want it to be, we want to see the kindness. We want to see the goodness. And this is the Hachana to Yom Kippurim. And we should all have Arichas Yomim, Uizbeten alle gute Sachen, we should do tshuva, and we should the Eibishter should write it with Sefer HaChaim, with Aksiva v'Achsima Teva, L'shon Teva Mesuka Gut Yor. When the Mirza Hashem next week, we'll continue our weekly program, Zman Simchaseinu.